Hey y'all, I'm Heather and welcome to my channel, The Debt Free Quilter. Today, we're finally binding our gifts in hurry quilts and maybe a few mug rugs. So, I did not get to film making the binding because Minions would not leave me alone. So I got no usable footage of that. I apologize. But now it is time to get all these quilts bound and ready to go to their new homes. Let's get started. Typically when I start my binding onto my quilt, I attach it to the back and then pull it around to the front so it acts as kind of a frame. And as you can see, I will sew directly up to about 1/4 of an inch to the corner before turning it at a slight angle and sewing it right off that edge. But of course, before the binding goes on, the tag needs to go on. Silly me. To complete my binding, to match it all up and make it look nice, I use a cutting from the end of the piece that is the same width that I would need, and then I just use that to measure as opposed to a ruler. It makes it so much easier. And here I am using that cutoff bit again. It shows me exactly where I need to cut and put everything together. And genuinely, it's just so much easier. You just cut off the selvage bit and there you have it. The exact measurement you need without a ruler. And because all of my bindings were the same size, yes, I could use one from a different binding, and it will show you exactly what needs to happen. The same width is just makes it so easy. Time for mug rugs and the quick and dirty method of binding. Now, what do I mean by quick and dirty? Well, first of all, I cut off my selvage, and then I fold it down on itself about 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch. Then I fold over one side to the center, and we'll get to the rest of that dirty part in a little bit. We start by binding the mug rugs the same way that we do our quilts, from the back. I go all the way around, making sure I sew off each corner until I get to that last side, where I will sew down about an inch, inch and a half, and then I will stop for a hot minute. Now here comes the dirty part. I measure down and just tuck that end right in that pocket I have made, and there we have it. And we'll continue that with the rest of these mug rugs before we pull all of that binding around to the front and tack it down. Here's what's really fun about mug rugs. You can make them out of orphan blocks. You can make whatever blocks you want. You can use wacky colors, crazy binding that doesn't match and doesn't have to. And it's just fun, and you get an awesome usable thing that you can throw in the wash when it gets dirty. Absolutely love them. Now let's get back to these quilts. I decided with these quilts that I was going to glue baste the binding around to the front so that I could just continue doing this all at one time, or as close to it as I was going to get. So what I've done is I take my Elmer's, yes, that's Elmer's school glue, and I put a bead of the glue along the edge of the binding or on the quilt where I want the binding to go. And then the iron will set and dry that glue, so it's going to stay in place until I can stitch it. And here I'm showing you a little bit closer in the corner. I'm going 4 to 6 inches at a time. And I'm taking it, I'm just holding it down with my fingers before I bring the iron in, just to set that glue so it will dry. Now I've got one side of the corner done. I come back and do the other side. Like I said, I do between 4 and 6 inches at a time. Maybe a little longer further down the sides, but I'm still no more than 10 inches total at a time, so that it doesn't get out of hand or away from me. And no, the bandage on my thumb was not sewing related. And I'm just continuing to work around the side and keep going, keep on keeping on. And here we've come to another corner where I'm doing the same thing I did in the first one. I'm pulling out that binding a little bit, I'm finger pressing it a little bit, adding that bead of glue, and then just flipping it right on over, and I'll press it down with my iron so that glue will set. And now to actually bind it works the same as any other quilt you do. You just don't have to fight with the binding, folding it over every few inches. You can just sew and go. I'm also using a left compensating foot, which is helping me get a straighter line on my binding while I'm sewing it down. Quick question. When you sew your binding on, do you match your thread to the quilt or to the binding? Let me know in the comments. Alright, you guys, we are here at the end of this project. Finally, you know, they were supposed to be done for Christmas. Well, at least I got them done by the end of the school year, right? It happens, life happens. This year has been rough and not altogether fun. But finishing this project, I've got new projects lined up, ready to start. Hopefully I can get those done more quickly than I have these 4 quilts. But we're there. They are about to go to their new homes in the next couple of weeks, and it's good to show the people that they are going to that they are appreciated for the things they do. And I hope I'm able to continue doing that in the future.
Um, so let's break it down, shall we? These quilts were fat quarter friendly with, uh, I want to say 4-inch borders, I think I made. It's been a minute since I've actually looked at them and measured them. They measured about 10 inches bigger than the pattern called for because I added an extra row and an extra column. And they ran me grand total about $75 a piece to make. The pattern, love that pattern. I would make it again in the future. I would make something similar to it in the future. Um, I really did enjoy the process, and I'm still glad it's done and glad I can now move on to something else. So, with that all being said, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Have a great week. We'll catch you in the next video. Hopefully, sooner than it took me to get this one out. Bye.